Hello everyone, welcome back to our session. So in this session we'll be discussing RC3 of CAT 2020 slot 1. ठीक है? So slot 1 का RC3 we'll be discussing. So जो RC था, the RC is based on the topic language, the use of language or importance of language in our life. So let us go through the RC once, then we'll be discussing the questions. Yes, so you can read along with me if you want. Later on we'll be discussing the questions. In case you have any doubt, you can just comment down below. I'll be always be there to address and take your doubts, right? So let us start. So now, vocabulary used in speech or writing organizes itself in 7 parts of speech. Okay, so we all know there are 7 parts of speech. Generally 8 if you count interjections such as oh and gosh and first above. So we all know that generally if we don't take interjections into consideration, then there will be 7 parts of speech. If you take interjections into consideration, then there will be 8 parts of speech. What are interjections? Interjections, like you know about exclamation mark, that are exclamatory words. Next, communication composed of these parts of speech must be organized by rules of grammar upon which we agree. So okay, let me read it again. Communication composed of these parts of speech must be organized by rules of grammar upon which we agree. Okay, we all know that whenever we tend to write any sentence, we must follow, or that sentence should be written as per the rules of grammar. So this is what the sentence is saying. Next, when these rules break down, confusions and misunderstandings results. Okay, yes, we know. For example, you know tense. If there is a some error in usage of tense, then the sentence will not be logical. Yes, so grammar does play a very important role in writing or speaking. Next, bad grammar produces bad sentences. We all know that bad grammar produces bad sentences. Next, my favorite example from Struck and White is this one. As a mother of five, with another one on the way, my ironing board is always up. So you have to figure out what the sentence is saying. As a mother of five, with another one, uh, on the way, my ironing board is always up. So just overall we can say bad grammar produces bad sentences, the importance of grammar. This is what was talked in the first paragraph. Let us move on to the second paragraph. Nouns and verbs are two indispensable parts of writing. We all know nouns and verbs. To make any sentence logical, you have to use noun and a verb, right? You all know that subject and predicate. Subject is the subject, doer, and predicate is the action or something else. Next, without one of each, no group of words can be a sentence. Yes, without a noun and verb, no sentence can be logical. We cannot call it as a sentence or a complete sentence. Next, since a sentence is by definition a group of words containing a subject, noun, and predicate verb, that's what I talked about just now, right? A subject, a noun, and predicate, a verb. These strings of words begin with capital letter, end with period, and combine to make a complete thought which starts in the writer's hat and then leaves to the readers. So in the second paragraph, it was what was being talked about is, to make a complete sentence, you have to take grammar into consideration. A sentence forms with noun and verb. Noun, like subject, and verb is predicate. A writer, before writing any paragraph or any line, should take grammar into consideration. Then his thought from his mind leaps to the other person's mind. That's as you can see, that's written exactly here. Make a complete thought which starts in the writer's head. It starts in the writer's head and then leaps to the readers. So it can only leap to the reader's head when the sentence is grammatically correct. Otherwise, the sentence will be illogical. Next paragraph. Must you write complete sentence each time? Must you write complete sentences each time, every time? perish the thought. Now perish the thought मतलब ये सोच को खत्म करो. Perish the thought. Again, let us read it again. Must you write complete sentences each time, every time? Perish the thought. I mean, perish the thought. I mean, he's raising a question that you are not compelled to write each time and every time a complete sentence, right? So perish the thought. If your work consists only of fragments, floating clauses, the grammar police aren't going to come and take you away. So he is talking in a sarcastic way. What sarcasm he is using is that, like, if you can just see at the starting of this paragraph, must you write complete sentences each time, every time? Perish the thought. I mean, if you can read further, if your work consists only of fragments and floating clauses, the grammar police aren't going to come and take you away. So he means that the author means that you are not supposed to write the complete sentence every time. And if you are using some small clauses means very small sentences or small fragments, then the grammar police are not going to come and arrest you, or no one is going to complain. That exactly what these lines mean. Next, even William Strunk, that Mussolini of rhetoric. What do you mean by rhetoric? Rhetoric means power of speech or orator or oratory, you can say. So Mussolini of rhetoric recognize the delicious pillability. Pillability means flexibility. So recognize the delicious pillability of language. So there are some flexibility in languages. What are the flexibilities? So the flexibilities is, if you want, you can ignore the complete sentences. You can use very small short sentences, clauses or phrases. Yeah, that can be also logical. And if you are not using the complete sentences, that doesn't mean that grammar police is coming and they are going to arrest you for committing such mistake. Yes. Next, it is an old observation, he writes. That the best writers sometimes disregard the rules of rhetoric. So, what do we mean by rhetoric? Rhetoric means power of language, power of speech, oratory, right? So, let me just read it again. It is an old observation, he writes, that the best writers sometimes disregard the rules of rhetoric. They disregard the rules of rhetoric. They disregard the power of speech. Next. Yet he goes on to add this thought, which I urge you to consider. Yes, yet he goes on to add this thought, which I urge you to consider. Unless he is certain of doing well, the writer will probably do best to follow the rules. So unless he is certain of doing well, the writer will probably do best to follow the rules. So we are talking about the rules. Next paragraph. The telling clause here is used. The telling clause here is, unless he is certain of doing well, if you don't have a rudimentary grasp. What do you mean by rudimentary? Rudimentary means basic grasp of how parts of speech. Again, let me read it. The telling clause here is, unless he is certain of doing well, if you don't have a rudimentary grasp of how the parts of speech translate into coherent sentences. So the passage is saying that for understanding any knowledge, for understanding any line or any paragraph, you need to have the rudimentary grasp. What are the rudimentary grasp? They are the basics of any language. So definitely, if you want to read something in Hindi, if you want to read something in Telugu, if you want to read something in Bengali, you must have the basic rudimentary grasps of that knowledge. Of that language. Yes. Next, how can you be certain that you are doing well? So we don't know. If you don't have the basic knowledge, you cannot be certain that if you are writing well, you are writing properly, all your sentences are grammatically correct. Next, how will you know if you aren't doing ill, for that matter? So yes, grammar is important, the basics are important. Without basics you won't be able to know that whether you are writing properly, you are writing wrong, or you are writing well. Next, the answer of course is that you can't or you won't. Obviously, for example, if you don't know Bengali, and if you are trying to write something in Bengali without knowing the basics or the grammar of Bengali, you will never able to know, you will never come to know that whether you are writing or whatever you are writing in Bengali is right or wrong. If someone, until and unless someone comes and stops you or tells you that you are doing it wrong. So wrong and right is decided on the basis of rules. So, and if you are not aware of the rules, how can you be sure that whether your written sentences are right or wrong? Yes. Next, one who does grasp the rudiments. So one who does grasp the rudiments, I mean one who knows the meanings, the basics, rudiments of grammar, finds a comforting simplicity at its heart, where there need to be only nouns, the words that name, and verbs, the words that act. So okay, I mean, in the last three lines, let me read it again to make it everything easy for you. One who does grasp the rudiments of grammar. So if you understand the basics of grammar, or anyone who understands the basics of grammar, finds a comforting simplicity. You find a comforting simplicity. What simplicity or what comforting simplicity the writer is talking about? Writing, about knowing that you are progressing, that you are going in the right way. At its heart, where there need to be only nouns, the words that name, and the verbs that act. So noun is the words that name, and verbs are the words that act. We all know. So we got to know what what this paragraph was telling. Next paragraph. Take any noun. Take any noun. Put it with any word, and you have a sentence. So okay, now this passage is saying that take any noun, put it with any verb, you have a sentence. Let us continue. It never fails. It never fails. Rocks explode. Yes, rocks explode. One is noun, one is verb. That's what the this line is saying. Take any noun with any verb, you have a sentence. So rocks explode. So what the author is trying to say, if you take any noun with any verb, you have a definite sentence. You have a subject, you have a predicate, and the sentence is complete. Although the sentence is small, but it is logical. What the author, I mean, that's exactly what the author is trying to convey. Next, Jane transmits mountains float. Jane transmits mountains float. Again, verb, noun, verb. You got what I'm trying to explain. These are all perfect sentences. These are all perfect sentences. We all know. Rock explode. Jane transmits. Mountains float. These are all perfect sentences because a noun with a verb makes a sentence logical and complete. Many such thoughts make little rational sense. Rational means logical sense. Many such thoughts make little rational sense. Next, but even the stranger ones, stranger ones, plums defy, have a kind of poetic weight. So some of the words, like see, uh, if you'll see rocks explode, we know the meaning. Rocks explode, but when we write two words or a noun or a verb in terms of being poetic, then it seems or it looks very complex, but it is right. That's exactly what is written here. Plums defy. We cannot say what does it mean, but in poetic terms, it is right. That's what the author is trying to say. Next, plums defy, have a kind of poetic weight that's nice. Okay, next. The simplicity of noun verb construction is useful. At the very least, it can provide okay, let me read from here again. The simplicity of noun verb construction is useful. At the very least, it can provide a safety net for your writing. Yes, safety net means what do you mean by safety net? Safety means like something that comes in your comes at your rescue, you can say. So the simplicity of noun verb construction is useful. At the very least, it can provide a safety net for your writing. Obviously, noun verb, the proper use of noun and verb provides a safety net, or it acts like a safety net for your writing. Okay, next. Strunk and wide caution against too many simple sentences in a row. But simple sentences provide a path you can follow when you fear getting lost in the tangles of, when you get, again let me read it, then I'll just move on to the next page. Let me read it from here. But simple sentences provide a path you can follow when you fear getting lost in the tangles of. Simple sentences, he is talking about simple sentences, provide a path, provide a path when you fear getting lost in the tangles of. What are the tangles? Let us look. In the tangles of, in the tangles of rhetoric, in the tangles of rhetoric. Yes, let me just words and act. In the tangles of where was I? Yes, in the tangles of rhetoric, all those restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. Okay, so when the sentences are very simple, they tend to provide a simple path, or things starts to get simple for you. They come at your rescue, they save you from the tangles of rhetoric. Rhetoric, as I said, it is a power of speech. All those restrictive and non-restrictive clauses, those modifying phrases, those appositives, and compound complex sentences. Okay, so I mean, the author is trying to convey a message. What is the message? Message is that a simple sentences or simple grammar tends to simplify things for you. Whenever you feel that you are getting lost in the tangles of grammar, forget about rhetoric and all those complex words. When you are getting tangled, when you are getting feeling that you are fixed, or you are getting stuck in the complexity of any language, simple sentences often comes at your rescue. Next, if you start to freak out at the sight of such unmapped territory, okay, unmapped territory, I mean, if you why the author has used these words, unmapped territory, and what does he mean by this line? If you start to freak out at the sight of such unmapped territory, so if you don't know the complexity of any language, in English itself, like we know Shashi Tharoor, sometimes, I mean many a times, he uses such a complex words, even a very good person, a person with a strong and good knowledge of English finds it very difficult to understand or comprehend those lines. So yes, we all know, everything, or in any language, simplicity makes everything easy. Even you must have figured out, whenever if I tell you to write an essay, or a paragraph or letter, so if you don't know the language properly, you can write, somehow you will manage to write it in a simpler way, though you will not be able to explain that passages or write those essays in a very complex language. So that is the unmapped territory for you. If you don't know those words, if you don't know how the grammar works, or if you don't know a particular language work, right, so that can be a bit challenging for you to understand this complexity of the language. It becomes very intricate. Next, if you start to freak out at the sight of such unmapped territory, unmapped by you at least, yes, exactly, unmapped by you at least, that is not an unmapped territory for the writer. If you are a reader, like whatever Shashi Tharoor posts on his Twitter, that is not an unmapped territory for Shashi Tharoor. That is an unmapped territory for you, because you don't know the language. He knows it very well. He's impeccable. He is very efficient in that. Yes. Next, just remind yourself that rocks explode, Jane transmit, mountains float, and plums defy. Grammar is the pole you grab to get your thoughts on their feet and walking. See how beautifully the last line has been written. Grammar is the pole you grab to get your thoughts up. So grammar is the pole, It's a support, it's a means of support that you take the support of grammar, use your words, and use your words and thoughts up on your feet, on their feet and walking. So with the help of grammar, with the help of proper usage of grammar, your thoughts are uh, written, taken down from your memory to a page or anything, like whatever, a computer or anything. So first you need to have a thought, then you need to have a command on the language, then you can use whatever you are trying to explain or whatever you are trying to write on a piece of paper. You will only be able to jot down that. So this is what the passage was all about. I hope we have done a proper postmortem of this passage. Let's move on to the questions. So first question is, which one of the following quotes best captures the main concerns of the passage? So what was the passage all about? Concern best captures the main concern of the passage. What was the concern? So we all know the passage was based on the language, based on this how a sentence works, based on the the beauty of simplicity of a language rather than being taking it in a complex level. Yes, so let us read the options. Nouns and verbs are nouns and verbs are two indispensable parts of writing. Without one of each, no group of words can be a sentence. Yes, we know, even the passage was also talking about this line, that the nouns and verbs are two indispensable tool. What do you mean by indispensable? जिसके बिना काम नहीं हो सकता. A tool indispensable, that is a required tool for doing a particular task or job. Yes, but was this passage only about nouns and verbs? No, passage was also talking about the complexity, the level of a language. It also talked about the basics, the rudimentary grasps. It also talks about some complexity, some rhetoric of a language. Next, Strunk and White caution against too many simple sentences in a row. But simple sentences provide a path you can follow. You fear getting lost in the tangles of rhetoric. See, what do in the first part you see the first. If you'll merge first and second part, if you'll consider first and second options as a one, then it can be the gist of the passage. But the second line talks about some other elements or some other parts of the passage, and the first line, the first option, talks about some other elements and parts of the paragraph. First talks about nouns and verbs. Second talks about the difficulty of language. Had there been all these two mentioned in only one option, the option that would have been the answer. But neither of these can be the answer, because they both talk about some elements of the passages, not all in a whole, as a whole. Yes, next. The telling clauses here is unless he is certain of doing well. No, this does not make any logical. So 2 and 1 are also wrong. Just I said you, because uh, one talks about some other elements, two talks about some other elements. Yes, if any of the sentences, if any of the options had mentioned all these two elements of first and second option, that would have been the answer. Last, bad grammar produces bad sentence. Simple. In the last option, if you can just read in the passage, as this line was also mentioned, if you can sum up in one line, all I mean the whole passage, this line talks about the complexity of a language. This line talks about the nouns and the basics of any language. So thus 4 can be the answer. Question number 2. Question number 2 is, which one of the following statement, if false, could be seen as a supporting of to the arguments in the passage? So the sentence is very tricky. You have to first read and understand what the question is asking. Which one of the following statements, if false, अगर गलत हुआ, if false, could be seen as a supporting argument in the passage? Okay, let us read the first option. An understanding of a grammar helps a writer decide if he or she is doing well or not. An understanding of a grammar helps a writer decide if he or she is doing well or not. It was given in the passage. It was given in the passage that the rudimentary grasp helps you to understand that if you are doing well or if you are doing ill. So it is right. This was not a false statement. So this can be eliminated. Perish the thought that complete sentences necessarily need nouns and verbs. Exclamation mark. Perish the thought. It was given in the passage. It was given in the passage. Perish the thought that complete sentences necessarily need nouns and verbs. So passage में दिया हुआ था. It was already mentioned in the passage that must you read, must you write each and every word? No. The author clearly explained. The passage clearly has that part that says even if you are not writing the complete sentence, then also the sentence makes a logical, the sentence is also logical. Yes, let us read the other options as well. It has been observed that the writer sometimes disregard the rules of rhetoric. It was mentioned in the passage. Yes, so it is wrong. You have to find a false statement. Regarding grammar, women writers tend to become more attentive to method of accuracy. No, that was not in the passage. This is totally out of the context. So you have to find a line that was mentioned in the passage, and that is, if that is false, can be act as a supportive, can be seen as a supporting argument in the passage. See, perish the thought that complete sentences necessarily need the word. So if you don't perish the thought, if you think that okay, every time, each and every time, if you want to write something, you are compelled to write, or if you should write the whole sentence, then this sentence would have been right. But perish the thought that complete sentences necessarily need nouns and verbs. This is wrong. The author has clearly mentioned that this is wrong. Just let me take you to the part where it was mentioned. Where was it? Just a minute. Yes, there. Must you write a complete sentences each time? Every time? Question mark. Perish the thought. Perish the thought. The author disavows this idea. The author disavows this idea that you are not supposed to write a sentence complete only then that the sentence is acceptable. You can write sentences in very small fragments, like it was written somewhere, not in this part, it was written here somewhere, like yes, rocks explode, James transmit. So the intention of author was to tell you that you can use small sentences. There is no rule in the grammar that says every time you have to use the big lengthy sentences. That's exactly the question was asked. I hope you got the point. Next, so we got our answer number 2. Yes, option number 3. Question number 3 is, all of the following statements can be inferred from the passage except. All of the following can be inferred from the passage except. So out of the 4 options, 1 will be wrong and 3 will be right. So let us look at option number A. The subject predicate relation is the same as the noun verb relation. The subject predicate relation is the same as the noun verb relation. Yes, exactly. It was said in the passage. Subject means noun, verb means predicate means verb. So it is same, it is right sentence. It was written in the passage, something like this. The message was written clearly mentioned. The primary purpose of grammar is to ensure the sentence remains simple. No. But let us read other options as well. Sentence do not always have to be complete. Grammar police is a metaphor for critics who focus on linguistic rules. Okay. So grammar police is a metaphor. Grammar police is a metaphor. It is a metaphor for whom? For critics who focus on linguistic rules. So it is right. Sentences do not always have to be complete. Yes, it was written. Sentences do not always have to be complete. You can know what the sentence is saying or trying to convey with the help of only 2 words, subject and predicate. So it is also right. Option number B. The problem. What is the problem with the option number B? Let us look at this option. Yes. So the primary purpose of grammar is to ensure that the sentence remains simple. No. Nowhere in the passage it has been written that you are only tend to write a sentence in a simple way. You can use grammar in various ways. If you don't know the complexity of a language, yes, you can use some simple words, simple phrases, and put down your thoughts, jot down your thoughts on a piece of paper. But if you are a rhetoric, if you have the power of speech, if you know the power of language, if you have a proper command on the language, you obviously can write or make some good sentence, use some good sentences with some good and tough words. So primary purpose of grammar is to ensure that the sentence remains simple. No, grammar is just to let you know that whatever rules you are using is right. The way you are using a sentence should be right. There should be proper use of noun, verb, tense, etc. But it never mentions, it has been never mentioned in the passage that the main role of grammar is to ensure that a sentence should be simple. No, you can write in a complex way if you want. So this is the answer. This was not mentioned in the passage. So let me just erase all the other parts, unnecessary parts, and only select the right answer. So the primary purpose of grammar is to ensure that the sentence remains simple. Next, question number 4. Question number 4 is, take any noun, put it with any verb, and you have a sentence. It never fails. Rocks explode, Jane transmits, mountains float. None of the following statements can be seen similar except. So what the author is, or what the question asks from you, what the question demands is that you have to find the logical sentence. Rest 3 will be illogical and 1 will be very simple and logical. Yes, so let us look at the option number A. A collection of people with the same sports equipment is a sport team. Does it? Is it? A collection of people with the same sports equipment is sports team. Equipment we are talking about. No, this is wrong. This is illogical. Take an apple tree, plant in a field, and you have an orchard. Can you make an orchard just with one tree? No, this is totally illogical, absurd, wrong. A group of nouns arranged in a row becomes a sentence. Is it? No, never. To make a sentence you complete or logical, you need noun plus verb. And what the option is saying? A group of nouns, too many nouns arranged in a row becomes a sentence. So if you want to write or if you want to use a sentence without the help of verb, you cannot do so. So to make a sentence logical, there should be verb in the sentence. If you are using too many nouns without a verb, is that sentence logical, or is that sentence right? No. So this is also absurd. Last option. Take any vegetable, put some spices, and you have a dish. Yes, it happens sometimes. You take some vegetables, some raw vegetables, you put some spices there, you have a dish. Yeah, that dish is known as salad. So this is logical. So you were supposed to choose a logical statement in this option, in this question. So D is the right answer. Question number 5. Question number 5 is, inferring from the passage, the author could be most supportive of which one of the following practices? Okay. So this one is a bit tricky. Let me read each and every line. A creative writing course that focuses on how to avoid the use of rhetoric. A creative writing course that focuses on how to avoid the use of writing. See, to avoid the use of rhetoric, you only need the basics, the rudiments. That's a very mundane job. Yes. मुंडेन का मतलब क्या हुआ? Rhetoric, अगर आपको बहुत अच्छा लिखना है, you have to use the power of language to write everything in a very tough and a complex way. So आपको इसके लिए कोर्स करने की जरूरत क्यों पड़ेगा? That is wrong. Next, the critique of standardized rules of punctuation and capitalism. No, it was never The passage was not about the capitalization and punctuation and all. It was only about the proper right use of grammar and the right uses of, I mean, the level of complexity and simplicity. Yes, next. A campaign demanding that the writer's creative license should allow the breaking of grammatical rules. No. Yes, you can use simple language, you can use complex language, but you can never break the rules. You can never break the rules of the grammar, because if you are not using the rules properly, your sentence will be illogical. So this is totally out of context. Last option. The availability of language software that will standardize the rules of grammar as an aid to writers. Okay, in the passage it was written that you can use whatever you want, you can use whatever you want, but you should uh, comply with the rules, you should comply with the rules of grammar. So without the proper use of grammar, see, if you can gist the passage, अगर आप ओवरऑल ऐसे सम अप करो तो पूरा पैसेज क्या चीज के बारे में था? पैसेज था लैंग्वेज के बारे में, जिसमें आपको प्रॉपर यूज लिखना था, ग्रामर को सही तरीके से यूज करना था, नाउन का सही यूज, वर्ब का सही यूज, ठीक है। इसके बाद दूसरा जो पहलू बात किया गया था इस पैराग्राफ में, इस पैसेज में, वो क्या था कि नाउन और वर्ब से आप बेसिक जानते हो, उसके बाद आप चाहे बेसिक लिख सकते हो, चाहे आप यूज ऑफ रिटोरिक, मतलब लेवल हाई लेवल का लैंग्वेज, हाई लेवल का स्पीच लिख सकते हो या कुछ भी बोल सकते हो, तो इसी पे था, ठीक है। तो यहाँ था आपको ओवरऑल जो मेन इसका समरी था वो दो चीज पे था, बेसिक्स ऑफ ग्रामर, राइट यूसेज ऑफ ग्रामर, और एक था आपका लेवल ऑफ बेसिक सिंप्लिसिटी एंड कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी इन एनी लैंग्वेज। तो ये मेरा आंसर हो जाएगा। नाउ आई हैव सॉल्व्ड ईच एंड एवरी क्वेश्चन। This was CAT 2020 RC3 of slot 1. ठीक है, if you have any doubt or if you think that uh, you did not get any of my points, you can just comment down below. I'll try to make myself a bit more clear from the next or upcoming sessions. Okay, so I hope आपको ये सेशन अच्छा लगा, मिलते हैं अगले सेशन पे। Till then, happy learning and bye for now.